It is a love letter to 90s FPS games. It sports that colorful, blocky pixel, fast-paced movement type, and it's a roguelike. Raise your hand if you're a fan of first-person shooter games. Now, raise your hand if you're a fan of finding some new ones that you've actually never played before. What is up, everybody? Chaos here, and we're going to go over a list of FPS games that there's a good chance you have never played. And if that's true, you let me know in the comment section. Drop a like, guys, and let's kick it off with Syndicate from 2012. This game was actually hated on, okay? It was hated on when it was released due to its history, but it's actually pretty good looking back. And for those that aren't aware, Syndicate was a series of real-time strategy games back in the 90s. So, when it was announced that EA was going to reboot the series as this straightforward FPS, well, fans of the classics, they were upset. Syndicate launched in early 2012, and it was actually good. It featured a cyberpunk aesthetic with pretty unique combat thanks to the various abilities and some fun weapon design. The game, it was a financial flop for EA, but if you go back and play it today, it's actually pretty fun. But again, I totally understand why fans of the classic RTS games were pissed off about the decision to turn it into an FPS. And as always, guys, it's a new month, which means a brand new PlayStation 4 giveaway. All you have to do to enter is drop a like on this video, make sure you're subscribed to the channel with post notifications on, and in the comment section, tell me why you want to win the PS4 and include your Twitter handle, because if you win, I have to be able to contact you, winner picked at the end of the month. Now, let's move on. Another game, another FPS game that is, Receiver. Now, if you're a fan of slower, more methodical, and kind of frustrating games, I don't know why you would be, but this may be one that you would like. It was developed and published by Wolfire Games in 2012, and it's a borderline simulation game where you drop into a world and you have to search for 11 audio tapes. Why not 9? Why not 7? I don't know, but it's 11. And you have to fight off enemies while you're doing it. But what makes it so unique is the fact that the shooting was designed to be as realistic as possible, meaning you have to manually pull the magazine out, load the bullets in, put the mag back in, handle the recoil, so on and so forth. The game got great reviews thanks to that unique take on first-person shooter games, as well as its unpredictable level design and non-linear storytelling that encouraged you to explore. The frustrating controls also made the combat all more satisfying when you actually got kills and figured it out. If you want something that's different, check out Receiver. It's only $5 on Steam right now. Next up is an FPS title called Strafe. And this is an interesting one, and it's sad that it didn't get any mainstream attention, honestly. It is a love letter to 90s FPS games. It sports that colorful, blocky pixel, fast-paced movement type, and it's a roguelike game, meaning the levels will never be the same twice, which increases the replay value. And with all the different weapons and firing modes in it, you're pretty much never going to get bored with the game. It was developed by a team called Pixel Titans on a budget of $200,000 and published by Devolver Digital in mid-2017. It got good reviews on launch day, but for some reason, it didn't blow up. Maybe because it's a pretty niche market when it comes to the appeal, but thankfully, it still has a dedicated fan base, and it's a ton of fun. It's currently available on PC and PS4 if you want to give it a go. Speaking of games that are a tribute to old games, next we have Dusk. Now this is a 2018 retro FPS with over-the-top violence and extremely fun gameplay. You drop into a farm town in Pennsylvania. You have to fight off a bunch of possessed soldiers, farmers, scientists, all that good stuff, while you get to the bottom of why you got dropped off in this farm town in Pennsylvania. The movement is fast. The levels, they're tight and claustrophobic, and the gunplay is extremely satisfying with some punchy sound effects and plenty of blood and gore if that's your thing. If you're a fan of old school shooters, or maybe something like the 2016 Doom reboot, Dusk may be right for you. It's currently available on the PC, but they say it's going to get a Nintendo Switch port by the end of the year. Now, let's go back 20 years. Aliens vs. Predator, 1999. Now, there have been a few different AVP games over the years, actually a lot of them, some better than others, some of them sucked. Often considered one of the best is this one, which was a pretty big FPS game featuring 3 different campaigns and a hefty multiplayer mode. Now, you could play as either the aliens, the humans, or the predators in 3 different stories that somewhat intersected with each other, and they offered really different, they offered different types of gameplay. Now, the human campaign was scary. The Predator campaign was more combat-oriented, and the Alien campaign was stealthy and open due to you being able to crawl on the walls and the rooftops. Alien vs. Predator got good reviews when it launched in April of 1999, and in 2010, it was actually re-released on Steam as Aliens vs. Predator Classic. So if you never got to experience the game, or maybe you're a fan of the newer AVP games, check it out. It's hard to make a game like this hold up throughout the years, but it still plays great. Into the top 5 we go. Red Steel 2. Now this is a game that flew completely under the radar due to the first Red Steel kind of sucking. This one was released for the Wii in March of 2010, and it was a first-person shooter slash hack and slash hybrid kind of. It was developed by Ubisoft Paris. It features a new art style from the first game, and the gameplay involves you playing in first person while you're swapping between shooting and slashing in a way that was kind of natural, and both methods of combat kind of merged together. Now, Red Steel 2 got significantly better reviews than the first game, but due to it being an exclusive on the Wii, as well as being a sequel to a game that wasn't that great, it didn't sell very well. According to the game's director, it sold less than 300,000 copies, which is, to me, that's respectable, but since it was a Ubisoft game, the higher-ups were not pleased, and the planned sequel was trashed. If you do have access to a Wii or Wii U, see if you can hunt down a copy of this, because it's one of the best exclusives on that platform. That may not be saying much, but give it a try. At number 4, we have a game called Blood, developed by Monolith Productions and published by GT Interactive back in 1997. It's considered by many to be one of the best FPS games of its time, but it's often overshadowed by games like Doom and Quake. You played as an undead gunslinger named Caleb, and you tried to get his revenge on this evil god for some reason. You did battle with his minions. It was fast-paced, ton of guns, buckets of gore, blood, gore, all that stuff. It was pretty fun. Level design was pretty similar to Doom, featuring very large non-linear areas, and they encourage you to hunt for keys and levers. And it even had a multiplayer mode that was completely overlooked due to Quake coming out the previous year, but it was fun too. Blood became a cult classic, and in mid-2019, it actually got a big re-release called Blood Fresh Supply, which included all the expansions from the original game. It's available right now on Steam, and I mean, for an older game, it actually holds up. At number 3, Shadowrun from 2007. Now, it's known by many as a classic tabletop RPG that has been around since the 80s, but there's actually been quite a few Shadowrun video games over the years, and one of them actually took everybody by surprise. This one, it was a multiplayer FPS for the PC and the Xbox 360, developed by FASA Interactive and published by Microsoft themselves. Now, it took aspects of games like Call of Duty and Counter-Strike, as well as elements of the Shadowrun universe, and it created this FPS game with spells that you can use in combat. The end result was actually a very unique FPS that blended modern-day guns with fantasy spells and weapons, which is a combination we don't see very often. The game got mixed reviews. I mean, it didn't have a lot of content for a full-price game, and there were many fans of the Shadowrun universe that didn't like it because it was FPS, but if you got to experience it back in the day, it was fun. Like I said, it featured a combination of guns and magic in a way we don't get a whole lot in gaming. Honestly, I would be interested in seeing a sequel sometime in the future. Rise of the Triad 2013. It was originally a first-person shooter from 1995. It was developed and published by 3D Realms. You know who that is? The Duke Nukem people. Now, unlike other FPS games of the time, Rise of the Triad had multiple characters to choose from, each with their own strengths and their own weaknesses. And in 2013, we got a full top-to-bottom remake of Rise of the Triad, developed by Interceptor Entertainment. Like the original, it featured very fast movement, dynamic combat, open non-linear level design, and a ton of secrets for you to go after, I guess. Now, many people were upset about the remake, and they thought it wasn't as good as the original. Many people, though, they love the update of the 95 Classic. Now, it's pretty cheap on Steam right now. It's only $15, so if you want a classic bloody FPS game, Rise of the Triad may be for you. And at number 1 today, Clive Barker's Undying. It is it's crazy. Now, Clive Barker is a famous horror artist who decided to take a dip into the world of video games in the early to mid 2000s, which resulted in some excellent games, and Undying is one of those. But then he did have one mediocre game, Jericho, but we won't talk about that. Clive Barker's Undying is a horror FPS set in the 20s in Ireland, as you come face to face with various monsters and demons at his friend's estate. The game got really good reviews. It blended action with suspense and creepy atmosphere to give you this unique horror FPS. Unfortunately, The game sold very bad due to the subpar marketing and the fact that it came out the same time that Return to Castle Wolfenstein did, which was the biggest PC shooter of the year. A few years later, Clive gave it another go with Clive Barker's Jericho, which it was okay, but it was a step backwards from Undying. But you can still get Undying digitally, or you can find a physical copy pretty easy. So if you're a horror fan, check this one out. Now let me know one FPS game that you don't think anybody in the comments has ever played, and you let me know what it is in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, take a second, drop a like, make sure you're subscribed, turn on those post notifications, and on the screen now is another video. I need you to click that video, and I will follow you over there, and we will continue this conversation in the comments of that video. I'll see you soon.